What's going on, guys? I'm in Advantage and welcome back to another NHL 22 HUT video. Today we're going to be going over the new master set items, the Halloween HUT rivals. There's some great cards in here. We're going to be reviewing which ones are the best and which ones you probably should leave on the sidelines and not waste your time and money going after. I do actually have a few of these players on my team, have already been able to test them out. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. We're gonna start off today's video with the cards that are available. First coming up is Cody Crosby, going for about $475,000 right now in the auction house. I do have him, Giroux, and Quinn Hughes on my team currently, but let's go ahead and review this card as it stands. So first off, I can tell you, I've already had the base Cody Crosby, and you can certainly tell a significant difference between this card and his 87 overall base card. Let's take a look and see what that difference is. First off, acceleration is 90 overall, as well as speed. Speed across the board is pretty much in the 90s. Shooting is actually kind of funny. It's 91 across the board. We always know Crosby's hands are going to be phenomenal, and this card does not hold back. 94 on deking, 96 on offensive awareness, 98 on hand-eye, 95 passing, and lastly, 95 puck control. Also, you're probably going to want him at center with 89 faceoffs, 95 defensive awareness, and 93 stick checking. I do love the fact that you can either put Thief or Gladiator on this card. For some reason, when we go here in the collection, we can only activate the top one, so we'll activate Gladiator and light the lamp. You also have buzzing option as well. But this makes the card only more deadly, with his wrist shot accuracy and power bumping up to 93s each respectively, as well as his hand-eye and offensive awareness now maxed out at a 99. While I do love this card, I don't really love his zone or superstar abilities, but obviously it's a 91 overall Crosby, so there's not much not to love. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what these are. The first one is Back At Ya. We've reviewed this in previous videos, but is the ability enables players to reverse hit opponents and essentially maximize damage and take a lot of energy away from that player. It's 3 ability points, but again, not particularly worth it, especially with a center and somebody like Crosby. And then also he has Magnetic for 6 ability points. It's the exceptional skill of picking up pucks at speed, corralling, bouncing, and rolling pucks, and reeling in less than ideal passes. Now, obviously, I make quite a few less than ideal passes in NHL 22, but for 6 ability points, I would say that's not worth it. On the other side of Crosby, we have 5'11", 185-pound Claude Giroux. Now, he does have Protector or Booming Shot available, as well as Gladiator or Well-Rounded. So with activating both of those, let's go ahead and see what this card looks like. 92 acceleration, 92 speed, slap shot accuracy is 96, which is unreal, as well as 91 shot power, 94 wrist shot accuracy, and 92 wrist shot power. Moving on to his hands, they aren't quite as good as Crosby's, but they are pretty solid. 99 deking, my goodness. In addition to that, he has 94 across the board for the rest of his hands, 96 defensive awareness, as well as 92 stick checking. For his superstar ability, he does have tape to tape. Again, that's the advanced power or accuracy on all passes within vision. Passes will also auto saucer when necessary. So for 3 ability points, I love this superstar ability. I have it activated as well. And then also on the zone ability, he has 1T. For his 10 ability points, again, we've talked about this in previous videos. If you've seen my previous videos, I don't necessarily love 1T as a superstar ability or zone ability, especially because it's 10 ability points on the zone ability. And for the most part, it's just not really utilized much in NHL 22. And before we dive into this, I want to show you guys what I have activated on both of them on my team. I have both Thief as well as Light the Lamp activated on Crosby, so that bumps up his defensive awareness to a 99, as well as his stick checking and faceoffs. Yeah, I love this card like this, and I don't obviously have his superstar or zone ability activated. For Giroux, as I mentioned, I do have tape to tape activated. I'm going to fill out the Booming Shot and Well-Rounded here relatively soon. Just need to make a few changes. But overall, that is what his card looks like in my lineup. So moving on to the sets for these players. Now, one thing to be aware of, guys, is that there are time sets, as you can see right here. And then secondarily, you're going to find untimed sets after all the time sets are up. Now, what you'll notice is these sets back here are going to be a little bit more difficult. You need 1, 2, 3 87 overall players. You need a handful of 86s and 85s. As you can see, the previous set that I completed for Crosby and Giroux, it's much the same, but you need 1 87 overall player, a handful of 86s, as well as some 85s. So Overall, if you're able to do the time sets, make sure you do those. Do not do the later one unless it's obviously after this limited time is up, depending on when you're watching this video. You also have the second set available. Again, this is another one for a limited time. So something to be cognizant of here. If you don't have an 87, I had, like I said, a base Crosby. I did decide to turn that in because I wouldn't be able to use him anyway. So something to think about. If you do have base Giroux or base Crosby, you may just want to turn them into the set. Now, I know they could be used for X factors later, but for the time being, if I would just go ahead and turn those in. So the second set here, you need quite a few 83 overalls as well as 84s and also 85s. Now, here's one thing I'll mention. Right now, if you go to the auction house and search these, they're going to be pretty expensive. Now, I'm on Xbox Series X, but they're going right around $22K right now. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, I mean, there's not even any available. There's not any 85s available for under 22. Let's see, about 25,000. Okay, there's 12. So there's a handful. They're going right around 23, 24,000 right now. So overall, you know, you do the math on that, that is adding up quite a bit. Now, if you have a ton of these already in your collection, I would complete this one first. However, I had quite a few 85s and 86s, and let's take a look and see actually what I did. I'll share with you guys what I did in order to actually cheat the system a bit. So first up, you're gonna wanna come here in Superstar Origins event sets. Now, I already had all these Superstar cards on my team. However, I did not do the untimed sets. So much like we just saw in the Halloween Rival sets, there were untimed sets. So I decided to actually build out some 85 and 86s because, hey, the cost for what they're going for now in the marketplace was a lot cheaper versus what I had untradeable already in my collection. So first things first, if you do have that same issue where you need just maybe 2 or 3 85 or 86s, may not be a bad idea to go ahead and complete these sets. So I built out a couple 85s. Again, for the 82 overall Nick Suzuki, you really don't need a whole lot here, right? You just need a few gold players, an 81 overall, and a 74 or 79 overall any team. Doesn't cost me that much, and again, that was all untradeable. This was any gold players and basically any really crappy players that weren't that great. So I had a ton of these. I had some jerseys as well, and again, everything here was untradeable, so I didn't pay any coins for that. Lastly, to get into an 85, I just needed some 82s and 81, and I had that as well. So just keep that in your back pocket if you haven't completed the untimed sets for the Superstar collectibles. These actually might be able to help you go ahead and fill out the sets for the Halloween Rivals collectibles. So if you're not going to complete these sets, guys, or if you have some extra overalls, take a look and see here. Now, I'm on an Xbox Series X. I sold both Ryan O'Reilly and Anze Kopitar for right around 20,000, and I sold Brad Marchand an 86 overall for almost 30K. As a quick reminder, these were going for at least 10 to 12K less each just yesterday. So keep that in mind if you're not completing these sets. Now is a great time to flip these cards for yourself. Before we get to our next player, I will say after playing with Crosby and Giroux, I would 100% try to acquire these cards before the deadline. They are so worth it, and they are two of the best cards I've used in the game thus far. Moving on to the 89 overalls, we have first Rasmus Andersson at 6'1", 214. He's going to be a right-handed defenseman, and he also has buzzing or wingman available, which is going to increase that speed, as well as light the lamp or magician, which will either help on hands or his shooting. So we're gonna activate both of these for the time being. I do actually like both his superstar and zone abilities, and I'll tell you why here in a second. First off is Heat Seeker, advanced power when taking wrist or snapshots from a distance. Again, I like this one, but for 4 ability points, I would rather activate his zone ability. Bouncer, exceptional at battles around the net, greatly increases stability, stick tension, and limb strength around the net. Opposing players take longer to recover from net battles. This is an amazing zone ability, and again, if you're deciding between either one of these, I would 1,000,000% pick Bouncer. It's an OP zone ability, and I would 1,000,000% throw it on. But let's go ahead and look a little bit more at this card as a whole. 89 XL, 90 speed whenever you activate both buzzing and light the lamp. If you look at his wrist shot and slap shot accuracy, it's actually pretty decent, mid to low 80s. But that power right now is at 92 across the board, and that's pretty solid, especially for a defenseman this early in the game. Moving on to deking and hands, they're pretty good, 85 and high 80s across the board for everything else. But where it counts is stick checking and defensive awareness for our defensemen, and that's going to be respectively at a 93 and a 96. So I like this card, guys. I don't love it just based on how much it's going to cost you in the set. If I'm you, I would go out and acquire Crosby and Giroux first, and we'll talk about the other defensemen here in just a bit. But for now, I would probably leave Rasmus Andersson on the sideline. Again, that's up to you, but we'll talk about a little bit later in this video what my thinking is behind what you should do with this. On the other side of him is 6'4", 201 pound Jesse Puljujarvi. He has well-rounded or bombarded available, as well as either gladiator or protector. If we activate both of those, this card actually looks pretty sweet. 95 wrist shot power, 90 accuracy, as well as slap shot at 91 and 89. Speed as a whole is actually pretty solid for a big body like Puljujarvi. 90 acceleration and 90 speed. I like his defensive awareness at 90, as well as stick checking at 88. Superstar ability, much like Giroux, is actually the exact same. It's going to cost you the same thing. It's tape to tape for 3 ability points. He also has the zone ability of unstoppable force, which is exceptional strength with the puck and a greatly increased ability to hold onto the puck when off balance. So for a 6'4", 201 pound player, I like that one. I'd probably still activate tape to tape, or really none of these, quite frankly. I would probably do tape to tape before I would do unstoppable force, because I think he's big enough already where he doesn't necessarily need that. But go ahead and throw it on if you decide to pick him up. Moving on to the sets for these players, let's go ahead and see what they look like. So the higher overall sets, you're gonna need 187 overall, 386s, and 485s. Again, if you already have a number of these in your collection, probably not a bad deal. Comparatively to the 23 player set, or rather 22 player, because you need a collectible to tie it all together, you need a handful of 83s as well as some 84s, and then lastly a pair of 85s. So again, if you have a lot of untradables, I would shoot for the Crosby and Giroux first. If you have some left over, I would probably target the 87 overalls. Like I said, we'll get there in 1 second. But you know, if you have a ton, may not be bad to do. If I'm you, I would probably go for Jesse Puljujarvi before I would go for Andersson, simply because I think that's a better card. However, defense right now, he's probably one of the best in the game at 89 overall. And I do love his zone ability. So either way, you can't go wrong here, but I think your most bang for your buck is actually going to be in Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar. And let's get into what those cards look like first. Up first with Quinn Hughes at 5'10", 170, he's a bit small, but boy is he quick. He either has booming shot or light the lamp that you can throw on, as well as the secondary synergy of gladiator or protector. His superstar ability is seeing eye. Guys, please activate this. It's OP. Advanced accuracy on shots when the goalie is screened. A screen goalie's reaction time is also reduced when shooting with this ability. I would not activate Spinorama, especially for 6 ability points, but please, please activate Seeing Eye. It is unreal if you haven't used it already. It's amazing. Let's get into this card. 92 excel, 92 speed. Wrist shot power across the board is 90, as well as slap shot. And he also has 86 accuracy for both, which is pretty solid. I love his hands. Mid-90s for the most part. And then also on the defensive side, 91 stick check and 87 defensive awareness. I love this card. I already had the base Quinn Hughes. He's one of the best left-handed defensemen in the game, and he's the best left-handed defenseman, and really the only left-handed defenseman in this entire Master Set collection. So go ahead and pick him up, please. On the opposite side of him is Cale Makar at 5'11", 187, has gladiator or bombarded, as well as protector or applesauce. He does have make it snappy. I don't really love that for defensemen especially. That's the advanced accuracy when taking snapshots while skating. So I want to activate that. And then he also has in reverse. For some reason, it does not appear on here. But as a quick reminder, if you're skating backwards, you're not going to lose any speed. This card is also incredible at 92 acceleration and 92 speed. His shot is pretty good too, 88 accuracy on slap shot, 89 power on wrist shot, and mid to high 80s for both slap shot power and wrist shot accuracy. Defensive awareness is 93 and stick checking is 91. His hands are also pretty solid. I happen to have the X Factor version of this card, so I would not pick this one up myself. However, if I'm you, I would 1,000,000% pick up Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. Let's take a look at see what the set looks like first. First up is the higher overall set. So it's going to cost you 186 player, 285s, and 584s. Really not that bad. However, as I mentioned earlier in this video, and I'm going to say it again, do Crosby and Giroux first. They are insane, and if you have these cards already, please do that set instead. If you're like me, I actually decided to do the smaller set, and here's why. You need a handful of 82 overalls, which I had quite a few of those already saved up. You only need several 83s, and then lastly, you just need 3 84s to bring it on home. So I had way more of these untradeable. In fact, I did this entire set with untradeable players. I already did have base Quinn Hughes in my lineup. I lied. He was tradable, but he was the only tradable player I had, and it was an upgrade from an 84 overall base to an 87 overall master set item. So I 1,000,000% think that one made sense. And then secondarily, Cale Makar is the same exact thing. Previously, Cale Makar was only an 85 overall. Now you can get him up to an 87. I currently have him at an 86, but fully decked out. This is what his X Factor looks like. Again, pretty similar to that card, but note that he has Heat Seeker as well as Elite Edges activated on this. Finally, the last rivals pairing we have is Jordan Binnington and Cam Talbot. Let's first take a look at Binnington. He has either Distributor or Fly the Zone, 2 speed synergies that I both love, activated on him, as well as Thief. So again, obviously you can't really activate these to make any of his stats better, but holistically for your team, these are 2 fantastic synergies, and I love the fact that he has them available. His superstar ability is X-Ray, which means screens have a lot less of an impact when he's trying to stop the puck, so probably not terrible to activate, but again, I don't really love the goalie synergies, at least so far from what I've seen. And then secondarily, he has Last Stand, which is exceptional boost in reaction time and savability on breakaways and penalty shots. Probably wouldn't activate that one unless you find yourself getting burned all the time, then maybe it's worth it, but still probably not. Next up is Cam Talbot. He either has Fly the Zone or Spark, so just something to be cognizant of if you're trying to actually go after one of these master set items. He also has Booming Shot available. For his superstar ability, he has No Timer, advanced savability and reaction time when facing one-timers, which is actually interesting. Wish that was available in NHL 21. And then he also has Whirlwind, which is for 4 ability points, provides a considerable energy boost for all skaters on the team after making 3 saves within 5 seconds. So hopefully that is not one that you have to activate, but if I'm you, I'd probably go Cam Talbot because of his size, 6'4", 196 versus 6'1", 174. And let's go ahead and see what these sets look like. Up first is the higher overall set. You'll need 185 overall player, at least 284 overalls, as well as 383 pluses. And then lastly, a Halloween collectible to bring it all home. On the flip side of that coin, it might make sense to do this, and I may pull the trigger on it, but we'll see. You need a handful of 81 overall players, a handful of 82s, and then lastly, only 2 83 overall players to complete this set. So it might make sense to do that if you need goalie help or want to try it out. I probably wouldn't do it, but if I was going to, I'm still considering it. I would probably do Cam Talbot over Binnington. And lastly, as an honorable mention, this card will only be available for the next 2 days. So depending on when you're watching this, it may or may not already be gone. But they did come out with the 87 overall Claude Lemieux, 6 foot 215. He does have Fly the Zone. He certainly needs it to help increase his speed. He also has the superstar ability of Crease Crasher, which normally takes me 17 times to say that, but somehow I did it today, so that's good. That gives him the advanced ability at corralling bouncing pucks off of rebounds and increased shot accuracy on rebounds. I feel like rebounds are already OP in this game, so probably wouldn't activate that. I don't really love this card for an 87 overall. I think it's a little slow for the wing, but you might be able to get away with him at center depending if you play online or offline. Overall, not a card I would hunt down, but for the most part, still pretty cool. That's it for me today, guys. If you liked the video, make sure you click like. And if you love NHL 22 content, would love to have you stick around. Make sure you go ahead and click subscribe. Again, I'm Man Advantage, and I'll see you next time.